is a very real thing. I am not rich. I don't consider myself poverty-stricken, but I live very close, believe me.
The whole idea was, look, let's have no trouble. Keep the kids off the street, that you don't even have to get them to work as long as you keep them out of trouble. That this is it.
You take a person, any normal person, their pride, they've got a tremendous amount of pride. They may not have a piece of bread for that table, but you're not going to know it. You go over to help them, to offer to help them. It's charity. People basically don't want charity. Who knows what a community needs better than the people that live in it? I mean, these businessmen, sure, they make their money here. They don't want you to educate yourself. They don't want you to get a better job. They like you just the way you are, because this way you can run up a tab. You know, put it on the bill.
So then he threw a few indirects, you know? And I caught him. And the big shots are the ones that got it made. Poor people here and whatnot, they don't give a damn about it. And people will wake up to the fact that this is the way things are run, by big shots. All big shots are run in the country.
If you're able to do something, and you want to, this is the way you want to live, let's say, to be able to live that way, and to be able to have, to live where you want to do the kind of work you want to do, and to raise your family the kind of way you want to. I think that's important to a person, to know that no one's going to stop me for something that people did a long time ago, because I'm here now, and this is today, and this is what I'm living for.
If you were to go around one of these streets, there are thousands of things going on. When you walk down the street, you frame things, whether you know it or not. Like a psychiatrist might call it a kind of selective attention or unattention. This is going on, that's going on, but you are looking this way. And in a sense, you're not even seeing something. You just have a general view. To give you an example, you pass fire hydrants every day, but can you really describe a fire hydrant? Really, do you really have an idea of the fluting in it, or the shapes of the spigots, for example? You don't. There are many, many beautiful things happening. There are many ugly things happening. There are all kinds of things happening.
Before the first day was out, we already had some parents coming in and asking what we were doing, and they offered their help. And you can see where, as before, they wouldn't speak to one another. They would act as if they've never seen one another. Now they approach one another very easily. And I've also noticed that they speak freely. They don't hold things back. They like to talk about themselves, about the things they do and the things they're interested in. And I feel that this is good.
Very often in dialogue, we won't speak about what we really are, who we really are, what we really want. But through art, or through the natural movements on a volleyball court, of which you make an art,
so that people simply had to stop and look, their parents or the adults in the neighborhood. We had music accompanying the first, festival as well. And parents who were up until this time were perhaps skeptical were simply, attracted to the program.
I don't think they were underprivileged in the fact that they have all these places to go to. They just don't know how to use these places. I think this program gave them an opportunity to know how they could use these places. I think that's one main thing that was good in this program.
In the first place, they were out in the open. They were doing outdoor activity in the summer. They were engaging in the kind of recreation that children walking around with nothing to do are attracted by. They had a chance to paint boldly on concrete instead of just on a piece of paper. They had a chance to spread paper when they did paint on paper, spread it on the ground and cut loose freely. I would say that part of the success is due to the quality of the staff that was working on it. I don't think that the criterion is professional or non-professional, but what you call the veneer professionalism. That the professional who comes in and is responsive to what is going on, who is responsive to the needs, to the desires, and to the interests of the people he's working with, his professionalism is then overlooked. The people he is working with, whether they are talented or untalented, whether they're educated or uneducated, react to him as a person. I found that this was true of the staff that worked here. Now, it may be that the program itself attracted the kind of people that worked on it.
The program is completely non-sectarian. There are religious and lay people.
There are artists, creative people, musicians, dramatists, local people from the neighborhood, people of all kinds of differences. And first of all, they are committed to one another. And they are committed to doing creative things in the neighborhood, such as will bring many people together, to work together, to sing together, to play together, to participate in drama together. All geared toward promoting a greater degree of relationship among people.
I'm calling all of you chickens. Okay, fair fight. Your best man fights our best man, and we pick them. But I thought I'll be. You shook at it, Ronaldo. There's only one thing they want from Puerto Rican girls. That's a lie! Hold it, boy. Cheer up, come and get me, damn you! Hurry up.
How do you shoot this gun, Chino? Just by pulling this letter trigger? Not with bullets and guns, but with hatred! Well, I could kill them because I hate them!
There's kind of this thing in our society where the big move is to the suburbs, away from the city, and there's a real lack of appreciation for a city street.
Another phase of this program I think that was brought out was that there are a great many free things in the city that people can do besides staying in their particular neighborhoods.
the carnivals were staged, you know, once a week, and we had a very feverish climate that we worked in, and we still are working in this climate of carnival, you know, constantly, which is adventure, intrigue, everything that carnival represents, and it represents this not only to the children, of course, who can easily get into this kind of a fever, but to the adults as well.
And once they saw the makeup on and started putting it on themselves, it was a different story, because with the makeup became a change of character. And of course, the reason you put makeup on is to change your personality. And this was a literal inside discovery for them.
Here I come and me wanna go home. Day, 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 day. Here I come and me wanna go home.
You have children that are inborn with the rhythm and movement, and all of a sudden when you start teaching them dancing or dancing with them, they become shy, you know, and they go back and sort of regress within themselves. You have to bring them out again. And they have this natural awareness of themselves, or I should say a physical awareness, but you have to help them be aware of what they're doing with this talent that's already there in this rhythm.
Here I come and me wanna go home.
When they heard the guitars in the park, they just come right in and start singing, start playing those bongo drums. You know, we had a dozen bongo drums out and 4 or 5 guitars there. And, well, these youngsters would tend to be hostile towards each other, would start playing together and singing together and work up a whole spirit for about an hour and a half of community cooperation.
That wherever possible, we've attempted to have the program out in the street or out in the open areas of projects, thinking that very often great things go on in the city, but because they go on behind closed doors, not too many people know about them, and for that reason, sometimes not too many people participate in them.
We had a loose idea of doing a show that is concerned with the problems of the people around there. We had sort of the idea of making use of the Pied Piper of Hameln as a Pied Piper of Harlem. The story was developing in our minds while we were working with them.
Before it even started, somebody came over to me and told me, this is the story. This guy here is a slumlord. All these poor people gotta feed him. They have no more food to feed him, so that he calls all his rat friends in. And then the Pied Piper, the good man, comes and blows his flute, and all the rats follow him into the monster's mouth.
When they showed me the story, I got scared, because I didn't know what was gonna happen. But then when it happened, I didn't think it was such a bad idea.
The kids made Uncle Fetzer in a very funny way, together with us. And that was that we started off to put a huge bulk of clay there on the table, as much as the table could carry, and then they started off to make a head, and then slowly I started to arrange a little bit. I saw that it was a mess, and then we looked a little bit closer at the mess, and then we said to one guy who was eagerly working somewhere, you know, you do the nose, and to another guy we said, you do the ear, and to a girl we said, you make the eye, and everybody had a different idea, and we didn't know what the face would be like or anything.
Bums that don't want to work, that I object to. I think they're going too far for these people like the Puerto Ricans and Negroes, you know? They're going too far for them, and they're more or less neglecting the others.
We have found that you can spend a whole day, every day of the week, just moving down the block slowly, and everyone is ready to engage you in a conversation, in very meaningful conversations, talking about law and justice, and who makes the law, and how do we make the law bring justice, and what makes people happy.
This seemed to involve the kids in a very particular way that they obviously were not used to.
He was blowing up balloons and filling them up and putting them on the things and making pictures and that, you know, the stuff.
Yeah, but this we always do, even without a show. Like before, a few years ago, we used to get about $5 or $10 worth of pennies, and we used to throw them in the air, you know, to the kids.
Children could sense that fact that these artists know more what they're doing, and they know more in this field than they do the social worker. Social worker seems to probe into their life more when he's talking to them. The artist just speaks and tries to look at the child according to his talents, not to his problems behind.
Dominados, como que todo tenemos que recibir, como que somos incapaces de dar nada.
The person involved in the program would have to be willing to learn to
always have to learn their ways. What can they learn about us?
So why didn't we go, for example, to the bankers' districts where they live, the ones that own the houses, to these the schmucks that live on Madison Avenue and Lexington Avenue and so on? Why don't we teach their kids? I think those kids need it much, much more than the kids where we were working.
The artist, I'm talking about the dramatic artist, the photographer, the painter, the writer, the poet, have a tendency to look at the environment that they're examining, not in terms of what it means to the people who are enjoying it or not enjoying it, but in terms of their own values. The trouble with this is that art edits life. It doesn't duplicate the picture.
And not speaking just for myself, but for all of the sisters, it was really such a new experience that I felt for the first time that people looked at me as a person and not as a nun.
We are people, too, that live in the project. And sometimes there are things that go on in the project, good things, that should be put in the papers and that are not put in the papers. I read of bad things in the papers that do occur in the projects, but it appears in the papers because it's bad.
Now I realize what this equal thing means, this word equal. One of the teenagers was like, well, I saw that on television. I had no idea I had the ability to do that. And then they'll start discussing, well, clothes or magazines and the popular magazines. And they sort of realize that they can do these things also, and they weren't aware before that they could.
You can have spiritual poverty and you can have cultural poverty. And there are lots of areas in the United States that are materially well off, but are very impoverished spiritually and culturally. I think the main difference is that people with material means can choose or not choose to enjoy culture and experiences which bring themselves closer to other people, whereas people in a poverty area very often sink into a kind of inertia where they even begin to forget how to do it or where it is.
First of all, we're committed to the city, and we're committed to the fact that growth and development and positive lives are very possible in the city. And the city has provided for millions of people a place of growth and positive development. And we feel that with all of the negative and depressed thinking about the city and all its problems, that some people have begun to think that life in the city is not really livable. We felt that putting together programs of creative activities in the neighborhoods, getting people together to do things together, creative things such as art and music and drama in the streets, that this would serve both as an opportunity for these participants to grow themselves and also to give testimony to the millions of people who live in the city that it's really an opportunity for growth.